morning, sun. How are you? Skies above. Gee, it's great to be alive and love. Good morning, sun. Good morning, sun. Good morning, light. Good morning.
And good morning. I hope you're having a very good Saturday morning. And hopefully there's not too much background noise, as of course the entire family is home, and you might hear some chaos in the background, but welcome to 2020, right? So in a prior video, I worked on a PowerShell script I worked on a couple PowerShell scripts to automate some processes related to Business Central. And, quick housekeeping note, of course, I stream on Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch. And Periscope is great if you're mobile, but if you actually want to see anything like the script I'm about to show, then YouTube and Twitch are better avenues for that. So let's get started. So in a couple prior videos, I automated some tasks, some maintenance administrative tasks using PowerShell. And I'm new to PowerShell, so if I'm going to be forced to learn this new language that I didn't want to learn, I'm going to use it to make my life easier. And I will tolerate it if there is a benefit. So I'm learning it in order to make my life easier, automate stuff that I've been doing manually that gets really old and tiring and I don't do consistently. One of those is making sure that NavContainerHelper is updated. And if you've worked with NavContainerHelper for very long, you will be aware that Freddy is constantly releasing updates, new features, enhancement, bug fixes, dealing with weird quirks in strange customer environments, mine included. So he's regularly updating NavContainerHelper, and those releases get posted to PS Gallery just silently. You wouldn't necessarily know that they're there. And NavContainerHelper and PowerShell modules don't just magically update themselves for, good reasons, understandable. You don't necessarily want these modules just automatically updating at night if you are used to a specific version or build. But in my dev environment, I kind of want to be on the latest version. If something in this particular dev environment, if something breaks, that's kind of okay in my current circumstance. In a serious production, mission critical environment, obviously you may not. But in my dev server where I'm just playing around, it's my playground sandbox. Things can break, and hey, I need to learn how to roll back. I need to learn how to deal with that. So that's part of my learning process. So here, I have this script that it's not very smart. It just says, hey, NavContainerHelper, uninstall, then install the latest version. And it runs every night. Now, the problem with this script is that it runs. I don't know if it updated anything. I don't know if it ran. I don't get any notifications. I have no logging. It's just really, really basic. And it is working, but one day I'll log in and I'll be on version 20 of NavContainerHelper. The next day I'll log in and it'll be version 22. And I'd like to know if it ran, if it updated, if it didn't update. I'd like to know when a new release comes out. Maybe I would like a notification saying, hey, there's a new release, but I'm going to wait one version before I update, something like that. So I want to take a look at this and enhance this in order to do version detection and then decide whether or not to update. So that's what I'm working on this morning. So with that, let me switch over to my Docker server here. So here I have that script. And as you can tell, this is the module, uninstall, install, and I think Daniel provided this to me on Twitter as an example of what he does to just deal with NavContainerHelper to make sure he has the latest version. So this is kind of just the basic version, and you can run this manually, totally fine if you want to control the versions manually, but I like to automate and let's give this a try. So first of all, one thing I want to do is I want to know which version. Of course, the phone calls start coming in. Let me turn my phone off. One moment. Mute. Okay, so I should be muted. And I installed this. So let me uninstall this. I'm working on some Git learning through Scott Hanselman's tutorial, and I installed this new module that changes your PowerShell prompt, and it's a little funky, so I'm not yet ready to deal with that. So I'm going to uninstall Posh Git and oh my Posh. Sorry about that. And then I want Notepad profile. Oops. Where is £? Okay. So let's just do a little cleanup there. Much better. Okay. So let's take a look at a few commands. So first I want to know which version of NavContainerHelper do I currently have installed. And so you can use this command get installed module NavContainerHelper, and that returns this information. And as I mentioned previously, when I run this, I thought that it's returning this text information, but it's not. It's actually returning an instance of the entire module, and PowerShell is implicitly realizing that, oh, I'm getting a module back, I'm going to just display information. So that's happening implicitly, and what we're really getting back is the entire module. So this is an example. Module equals get installed module NavContainerHelper. And so that stores that module instance in this module variable, and I want to do module.version. So you might think, oh, great, well, that's just the version information, it's outputting this as text. Well, no, it is getting back the version object, and that version object is then getting implicitly converted to this text output. So it's a little funky. So what we can do is convert the module version property to string to output just the version number that we want. And so there we go. Now we have our NavContainerHelper installed module version string, and that gives us 07022. Perfect. Now that's what we have installed. I want to compare that to the version that is available. So let's say version 23 is available. Well, I want to know that so I can compare 07022 to 07023. How do we do that? Well, I previously discovered this command, find module NavContainerHelper, and that goes out to PS Gallery, scans that gallery, looks for NavContainerHelper, and gets the latest version that is available from that gallery. So let's paste that in. And this does take a second to run because it's going out and connecting, checking PS Gallery. And so here we see, okay, great. NavContainerHelper 07022, that is the latest version available. And you can get all versions if you wanted to see a list of all those. But this is what I want. I want the latest version. But just like get installed module, this returns a module. So let's do the same thing here. So we're going to do $module equals find module NavContainerHelper. And that stores that module object in our variable. And I'm going to do module.version.toString. And that returns 07022. So given this information, let's enhance this script. So let's call this module name, just to simplify it a little bit. And so NavContainerHelper. And before we go and uninstall, let's do our version check. So let's say $current version equals get installed module, and then we have module name. Well, we don't want the module, of course, so let's wrap that in parentheses and type version to string. I think we can do that in one command. Let's find out. Okay, and then we can do latest version equals find module name dot version dot to string, and then we can do an if statement. If current version, and how do you do comparison operators? I have a script here. I think I have an if statement. If, okay, so it's this funky -ne. So if not equal to $latest version, then we can just say, and I don't know about variable declaration in PowerShell, so I'm used to declaring my variables before my code blocks, before my ifs, before my try catches from .NET. That's my .NET convention. So I will just say, okay, there's my message variable. I don't think that's required, but I'll say $message, and that is current version. And how do you concatenate? I still don't remember this. So looks like + for concatenation, current version, and then we do current version, and latest version, $latest version. Okay, that's our message. And let's do and the new line is that tick n, and we'll say upgrading to version latest version. Great. Let's move this up here. Okay, so if our current version does not equal the latest version, we'll assume we're on an older version. And then let's build a message that our current version is A, our latest version is B, and we will proceed upgrading to the latest version. Now, in order to do that, let's just uninstall the module. And of course, I changed the variable name, so I'm just going to call this module name. So we're going to uninstall everything. So just in case we somehow accidentally have multiple versions of NavContainerHelper installed, we want to make sure that we clear all those out so that we don't have multiple versions going forward. That can result in some problems. And then after we uninstall all versions, let's install the latest version, and let's update that variable as well. Okay, so that's our uninstall install. And after it installs, let's get our current version again, just to verify. Okay, and then instead we will now say let's do two messages. Let's say upgrade, and let's call this updating. It's not really an upgrade, it's updating to version, and update complete current version is now current version. Okay. So let's give that a try. and see what happens. Let's run that. Okay, get installed module. Ah, I mistyped it. It's get dash installed module. Okay. Okay, let's make this a little taller. So, interesting. It's proceeding. Okay, so I have an error with this. So let's do some output. Write output, current version, write output, latest version, and let's do an F8. Okay. Current version, latest version, they're the same. Okay. So we're getting some errors. Get installed module. Oh, I have another typo. That's probably why. Okay, so I think we're in the ballpark. Okay, let's just clear this. Let's try again. Okay, kind of looks like it's running. No errors yet. And okay, so it ran silently. So now let's do write output $message. And let's just also add an else statement here. And let's see, let's say $message. You are on the latest version of module name and colon space current version, write output $message. Okay, so let's save that and try running it again. Okay, so you are on the latest version of NavContainerHelper. Now, what if I don't have anything installed? That's kind of an edge case, and there is a way in get installed module. Let's look that up to suppress the errors, because if you call get installed module and nothing is installed, I believe it throws an error. Looks like it is not a native command. Allow pre-release name. Okay, I forgot where I saw that. So for instance, if we uninstall module, so let's uninstall NavContainerHelper all versions, and then we get installed module NavContainerHelper. You get this error, package not found, or no match was found. So there is a way to suppress the error. I thought I saw that somewhere. You basically can ignore the error. So get installed module, ignore error if not installed. Okay. Get module. Huh. suppress error. Come on. There's got to be a way. I swear I saw it. Maybe it was in... Ignore error. Okay. Well, I'll have to find that and see how that... how I did that, or what I saw previously. There was a way that if the module was not installed, you could just handle that cleanly. But, okay, so we will ignore that. But let's see what happens now that I don't have anything installed. Actually, let's see what happens here. Oh, okay. So let's do module name equals NavContainerHelper. Okay, no match was found. And then we get a null value expression. Okay, I'll have to look into that. But let's just do an install module just so we get it reinstalled. Probably requires an if statement. How about this? Uninstall module. Let's just do an if statement on it. So, if if get installed module name write output this worked, else write output nope. Come on. Okay. Okay. Let's just reinstall. I'll have to look at that separately, research how to do that. Okay, so down it is installed. So let's just stick with this basic use case. We have it installed and we're going to get the current version, latest version, message, and to test it, let's just do one more test. Run. We should get you are on the latest version. Okay, now how do we install a prior version? Install module prior version. Install module and required version. Okay, so let's see how that works. So let's just uninstall. Oops. Install module, required version 07020. I believe that is a valid version. Okay, cool. So now we should be able to do get installed module NavContainerHelper. Okay, so now we're on an older version 07020. Perfect. So now let's try our script. And we see stuff flashing. Very cool. So current version 07020, latest version 07022. Updating to version 22, update complete. Current version is now 22. Nice. Okay, so we have this basic logic working. Now I want to wrap some login and email notification around that. So let's start with fancying this up. Okay, this will be version 1.1. That's appropriate. Actually, let's just call it version 2.0. This is August 1. And we don't need the server container name. Define the module name. And we're going to get currently installed version and get the latest version available. Okay. And if we don't have the latest version installed, then we're going to remove existing versions and install latest version. Cool. And then we're just going to verify version number. Okay. And if we are on the latest version, log confirmation, or log that info. Okay, so if we do update, we're going to log all this. Let me just finish that up first. Okay. So let's do some date values and transcript and elapsed time while we're at it. So let's go up here. Okay. So let's do a transcript file. Container name. We don't need container name, but let's do server name. So instead of, this will be $server NavContainer Helper update log. And so we want to just start our transcript file and name it based on the server name. So we have a file date time, which is just the date time stamp, and then the server name, and then NavContainerHelper update log. And we're going to start a transcript with that, record what's going on, get our start time, and then we do a bunch of stuff. And at the end, we want to get our elapsed time, record our end time, and calculate elapsed time. So let's do that at the very end. And we also want to, sure, let's do an email body. And let's stop the transcript and send an email. But I only want to send an email, I only want to receive an email if my NavContainerHelper version was updated. If the version number didn't change and it wasn't upgraded, I don't want that email. And so let's do updated equals, I recall there was some oddness with false, true, false. Okay, so I think it just had to do with the variable name. So let's do updated false. And if we do an update, we will say updated equals true. Okay. And we will say stop transcript if updated, then send an email. And this doesn't really need to be indented here. Okay, so we're going to record an end time, calculate elapsed time, and add some notes to the body of the email if that is sent. And we also want to have our messages saved to the body of the email. So body okay. And we don't care about the latest version in an email at least. So stop transcript, email from, email to. Okay, so let's get our email information, define email configuration here, subject server, okay. So this is somewhere near the top. I think we can put it above our version checks. So we have our email information and we have our Gmail credentials in a secure string, and we have server, and this isn't the BC bill log, this is our NavContainerHelper update log. And this isn't a container specific thing. So we already have the server. Cool. Start time. Okay. It's probably something I'm missing, but let's give that a try. So get installed module. I think we're updated. So let's uninstall. And then we'll reinstall the older version, 7.0.20. So now we have the older version of NavContainerHelper, and that should trigger our logic as long as we don't have any errors. And play. Transcript started. Excellent. So August 1st, 11:04, Docker NavContainerHelper update log text. It's going to do its thing. It's now detected that we're on an older version. It's going to update. Elapsed time 13 seconds. Transcript stopped. Now, that looks good. Let's go check our email. And sometimes this takes a second. There we go. Says 3 messages. Gmail is sometimes a little flaky. Cool. So now we see Docker 2019 August 1st, 2020 NavContainerHelper update log. Start time 11:04. And current version 20, latest version 22, updating, complete. Very cool. Now, one thing I noticed in the prior example, which I didn't notice at the time, I noticed later, you see that we have 11:04:45 start time, 11:04:59, elapsed time 13. So this one isn't so bad, but I have an error in my other script where, if we look back, you can see the start time was 8 o'clock, even 1 second after 8. The end time was 6:51. Oh, it's not too bad. Okay, so it's just 1 second off. 6 minutes, 49 seconds. Okay, I saw some discrepancy before where it was like 6 minutes and my lap time said, like 45 seconds. So not quite sure what that was about, but it looks like it's behaving now. So this is what I wanted. When NavContainerHelper update script runs, I want an email telling me what happened, and here I have the full file attachment. And so this is the full transcript. started, current version, updating to, update complete. And so pretty straightforward. So now I will know, I won't be surprised by an updated NavContainerHelper. I will receive the notification and say, hey, this got updated. Now, this is going to this test email account. It's a junk email account I created. It's not actually going to my main email account. So I will have to update that and add a few email addresses. But cool. So now let's see if anything needs to get cleaned up. Let's take a look at that. Okay. Let me just put, before updating, let me just put a new line. So tick N, updating to version, because I like the logs and emails to be formatted. Update complete, current version, and let's do something before the end time. So tick N, end time, and elapsed time, full log file attached. Cool. Okay, so let me just do one last run, and then I think this will be ready to go. That's uninstall. Let's install the older version 720. And there we go. So let's run this again. It's running. There it is, installing the new version. Cool. So there's our output, and there's our email. So we see current version. Huh. Oh, interesting. It combined both. So from a prior run, it retained my body. Okay, good to know. So that is a good reason to initialize variables with PowerShell. I didn't know that. Okay, so so body is used clear up here. So let's actually move all these initializations up here. So body equals empty string, message, and false. Okay, cool. So that was what I wanted to accomplish this morning. Now, I called this Update NavContainerHelper v2. So what I'm going to do is go into my Windows Task Scheduler, look at my action, and I'm going to update this to v2. And we'll save that, and OK, and try to remember my password. OK. So now that that is ready, let me just test that scheduled task. And install 720. Minimize this. And now we care about just the scheduled task. So let's run update NavContainerHelper v2. It is running. Should take a few seconds to do its thing. Okay, should be done. Oh, it is still running. There we go. Okay. So now, if we go back here, 11:10 a.m. Great. There we go. So we have a start time, current version, latest version, an update, and full log attachment. Awesome. Very cool. I like it. So next thing I need to do is just look into error handling on, or known exception handling. So if no match was found because the module was not installed, or let's say an error occurs during uninstall or upgrade or update, it would be nice to have error handlers or try catches around that. Maybe that's it. Maybe a try catch. So I do a try catch around the get installed module, and my catch will tell me that it is not installed. I'll test that offline and see if that's the way to handle that. But otherwise, I think this will work for my current situation where I have it installed. So that's what I wanted to accomplish this morning, and I hope that was vaguely interesting if you're using NavContainer So with that, have a good Saturday. And how do I get out of here? Okay.
How are you? Skies above. Gee, it's great to be